FYI, yesterday I had a very bad day and I was really down. And I was thinking to myself, what if I, come across as negative in my review? Because obviously, life can interfere with your happiness, with YouTube or whatever at sometimes. But after such an episode of Boruto, which by the way is my favorite episode of the entire series, episode 23 goes to the second spot officially. I'm shocked. I'm just shocked by the brilliantness of this episode. And without further ado, let's get into the review. I did not talk about this part of the episode in my review because as a manga reader, it's pretty much impossible for me to talk about it while not mentioning anything from the manga. And obviously I'm not going to spoil anything that happens in the far future. Well, not far future, but anything that happens in the future of the series. You get my point. If you're a manga reader, KK from KO, and let's just continue with this video. Just to sort of throw it out there, overall, this episode had hype moments. It had great character interactions, which is one of the biggest positives of the entire series, in my opinion, because the dialogue is very complex, unlike some other shonen anime. It had emotional moments that were enriched by the beautiful soundtrack, and it had a lot of mysterious moments. Excuse me. So let's start with the opening scene. Finally, URASHIKI OTSUTSUKI makes his debut in the Boruto anime. And I must say, URASHIKI's personality is very thought-provoking, at least in my honest opinion, if that makes sense. Because the way he addresses Toneri at the start by saying Lord Toneri, and after that, obviously, Toneri refers to him as a celestial being, right? And the way that Urashiki responds after that is very interesting. And I must say that I rewatched that scene a couple of times, like the entire conversation between Toneri and Urashiki. Basically, Urashiki tells him, why stick to the formalities, something like that. Now, this could mean, well, you could say that he was ironic, which is one thing. But I don't know, I kind of don't want to believe in that, because obviously it just doesn't make sense. You just called him Lord Toneri, and now you're saying don't stick to the formalities. Maybe he was just ironic, or maybe he's just very respectful towards other people, but he doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to look like this tough guy that's supposed to be called celestial being or whatever. Why am I saying this? Well, throughout their conversation, Urashiki comes across as this chill guy that simply follows the rules of his clan. That's, of course, my interpretation. Now, obviously, we just saw him for a couple of minutes. I'm really hoping that we get some backstory on Urashiki, some more information. But what I'm getting from this is that potentially, I'm just saying potentially, he tried to he looks like he tried not to listen to the orders of the Otsutsuki clan, and I know this is very far-fetched, but we already saw an example of an Otsutsuki member that pretty much escaped from her clan. I'm talking about Kaguya. In the anime, we got Kaguya's backstory, and we know that she wasn't a bad person. And what I'm trying to say is that she most likely escaped from the clan because she didn't like the stuff that was going on there. And Urashiki, as I said, looks like he tried doing something similar, but now he's just chill, relaxed, because he doesn't come across as a psycho. He seems pretty much normal. And at one point, Toneri tells him, what do you even know about this planet? Because he's trying to protect it. Obviously, before that, Urashiki told him that, the clan was looking at Toneri during the whole incident with Hinata during the events of the Naruto The Last, one of the rare Naruto movies which is canon. And, Urashiki agrees with him. And then, he says that we are dispatched or whatever. And of course, he's referring to himself, to Momoshiki and Kinshiki. We haven't seen Momoshiki and Kinshiki in this episode, which was very surprising for me. But we're going to see them in the next episode. I think Momoshiki was shown in the preview, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the point is, Urashiki pretty much agrees with him. It feels as though he kind of understands Toneri. But, he's still, he doesn't kill him. Now, granted, he says that he doesn't have the permission to kill a member of the Otsutsuki clan, which, which shows how much he respects those rules, but it all feels kind of forced, if you get what I mean. And, it's just... I'm thinking about Urashiki for such a long time right now, but I guess we have to wait for some new information regarding his character. Now, he does this, it's not a jutsu, but this technique or whatever. Well, basically, as you saw, Toneri attacks him, and he has this weird red weapon that kind of goes around Toneri, kind of stops him or whatever. And he throws something to the ground, and obviously he freezes Toneri. And let me just read what he says. He says, "Just enjoy the palace of the Dragon King for the next 10,000 years. Now, I think most people got it completely wrong. He's not going to be frozen for 10,000 years, obviously. If you pay attention, before that, he said, like Toneri said, like he was confused, and he was like, time freeze. And what I think that means is that Toneri is going to be frozen and he's going to experience 10,000 years. It's not actually going to be 10,000 years. It's kind of similar to Tsukuyomi. If you remember, Tsukuyomi, one of the strongest genjutsu out there, basically Itachi can make you feel pain for hundreds of years, when in reality it's only a couple of moments or seconds in real life. So I personally don't think that he's going to stand there for the next 10,000 years. If that's the case, I mean... Urashiki is fucking overpowered, alright? That's for sure. Now, at one point, Urashiki tells Toneri, you thought that you made the first move by doing that to Hinata's son or whatever, something like that. And I think this could mean two different things. First scenario, he's referring to the fact that Toneri in some way gave Jogan to Boruto. I don't know how, but maybe Toneri did something and, Boruto got the Jogan. That's the first scenario. The second scenario is that Urashiki is referring to the fact that, Toneri warned Boruto about his fate. A while ago, if you don't remember, Toneri met Boruto through Boruto's dream, and he told him that basically his eye will either save this world or it's gonna fuck it up. You basically get the point. And I'm pretty sure it's one of those two things. And also, I just want to throw it out there. It could be something completely else that we still don't know. But yeah, what do you guys think? I don't know. I think it's one of those two scenarios. But anyway, enough of that scene. My overall opinion was that scene was done really, really well. It was so mysterious. It leaves so many questions. And I think Urashiki as a character has a lot of potential. And I have high expectations, for his character, for his backstory and everything. And obviously, yeah, he goes to the earth or something like that at the end. And Toneri is like, stop, and then he's frozen. But after that, some of the main events of this episode start. Obviously, we have Boruto holding his right eye like this. It felt like he felt something in the eye, not necessarily pain, but he definitely felt something. And I was really hoping to see the Jogan, because we haven't seen it in a while. The last time we saw the Jogan, I think it was during the Hidden Mist arc, when Boruto and Kagura were fighting against Shizuma. Even if we saw it, that's technically only 1 second, but I don't know, I just kind of wanted to see it once again, because obviously it is foreshadowed by Boruto ending 5, that, Jogan will activate again in this arc. And FYI, if you didn't know this, because I recently talked with somebody about this, it has been confirmed that Boruto's eye is called the Jogan by one of the animators of Boruto, because I referred to his eye as Jogan a couple of videos ago, and somebody told me that it wasn't confirmed. So yeah, that's why I'm bringing this up. Anyway, this episode, I don't even know where to start. So, first of all, the tuning exams are very, very close, and Boruto is constantly having this inner struggle about his power. Pretty much, I mean, not only his power, he has problems with Naruto. We all know about that, and the fact that Naruto cannot spend so much time at home, which Boruto struggles to understand completely. He is gonna understand it by the end of this arc, but still, it's a big problem, especially when you're so attached to your parents and to your family in general. Recently, he got this new struggle of being weak or whatever, and now he kind of starts following quote unquote a dream or a goal, so to say. He wants to act independently. He doesn't want to follow the rules. And I think this was done really, really well in episode 52 when it was stated that, Sasuke is wandering around the world or whatever and fighting the enemies from the shadows. That's when Boruto heard about Sasuke for the first time, and he was like, he's cool. Now, Boruto often uses these words, cool and uncool, because he doesn't really express his emotions the best way when it comes to, actually explaining them with words, which is completely understandable. He's just a kid, for God's sake. But, that really says it all. The fact that he's saying cool or uncool, basically, I kind of feel like himself, like Boruto is aware that he doesn't know how to express himself properly, because later on in the episode when when he threw Naruto's jacket and when he was like he's uncool, he added even I'm uncool. I don't know if you paid attention to that. He didn't necessarily say the exact same sentence that I said, but anyway, if you missed it, go watch it. And anyway, back to the to some of the previous events of the episode. Boruto is having this conversation on the train with Shikadai and all that, which was great. But for me, the best part was in that I didn't really pay much attention. I don't know if it was a bar, restaurant, or whatever, where he was sitting with Inojin, Shikadai, and then Mitsuki and Sarada came. And obviously he did not want to take the exams. Sarada was trying to persuade him to take the exams, and she was very angry at first. But then she was like, my dream is to become the Hokage. Let's show your dad how strong and cool we are, or whatever. And also at one point Mitsuki was like, you just want Naruto to acknowledge yours or something like that. I'm not quoting the exact words. And Boruto was confused, and then he was like, because you're my son. The whole relationship between Boruto and Mitsuki, sun, moon, whatever. I talked about that in the past. But that whole interaction is really, really nice, and it feels realistic. It doesn't feel forced. It feels natural, which is the most important thing, and it's overall enjoyable seeing the new Team 7 interacting all the time. And, they added this really great gag moment later on when, Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sarada were walking. And then, Mitsuki was like, how to manipulate Boruto. And, Boruto heard it. And, Sarada just smiled or whatever. I just thought it was brilliant. And I've been talking about this throughout my reviews. I've been reviewing this series ever since the first episode. And I feel like people don't bring up this enough. Because Boruto does a very, very good job at its dialogue between the characters. It does a great job at character interactions in general. So many symbolic things, for God's sake. Anyway, Boruto decides to take the tuning exams. That's great. We all know we all saw the movie. We know that he's gonna take the tuning exams, obviously, and it's foreshadowed by the third opening of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. But anyway, we have Himawari's birthday. And, at the start of my review, I said, when I was, listing all the things that this episode had, I said that it had great emotional moments, and that I'm referring to this, what I'm about to say now. Boruto's biggest inner struggle, his relationship with Naruto. This episode did such a great job at causing even more pain for Boruto. This kinda sounds strange, but it is good when characters feel pain and then they progress, so to say. They develop. Naruto's clone was there, and by the way, this was foreshadowed really well, because at the end of the last episode, which was episode 52, Naruto's clone came to the Zetsu incident, and at the start of this episode, Shikamaru mentioned like, yo, you had to send so many clones out there. Also, the interview that Naruto did at the start of the episode, it was also a clone. And it was done. It was foreshadowed really, really well. That's some quality writing. So shout out to the writers. Anyway, what I find really interesting is that, well, not interesting, but really great, so to say, is that Naruto's clone was sweaty on his face throughout the entire time, which is, it's a small detail, but it means a lot. It means that a lot of effort is put into this episode, and it just adds to its, greatness, so to say. It basically shows that Naruto is super tired, and that his clone is about to disappear. Because I wanted to add this because I didn't really finish my thoughts in the review, which sometimes happens, but yeah. And anyway, Boruto was really happy for the fact that Naruto was there. He said that he will forgive him. And obviously, Boruto doesn't express his emotions the best way, as I already mentioned. So, he seems kind of unnatural while saying all of these things. But even though he sounds unnatural, it doesn't feel forced because it is supposed to be like that. Like it's written like that, the entire scene and everything. And it was just so enjoyable. Obviously, I knew that, it was going to be the clone and all that because I saw the movie, and I'm pretty sure everybody saw the movie. But anyway, it turns out that it was a clone, and here comes the most emotional part. The soundtrack was playing, I was crying, nothing new, because you guys know that Boruto, like I'm referring to the character Boruto, like he means a lot to me. He's my favorite next-gen character, excluding the old-gen, obviously, because Naruto is my favorite anime character, period. But anyway, he means a lot to me. I relate to Boruto a lot, and I really understand his character, and I think his character is very complex and written very, very well. As the music starts playing, we see all these photographs of Naruto when he was a kid and all that, and it just brings this nostalgic effect alongside the soundtrack, and it just, the soundtrack plus those photographs equals to Eternal Hokage crying. That's the formula. But anyway, as Boruto was talking to Hinata, and Hinata was trying to explain everything to Boruto, of course Boruto heard it a million times, but Boruto says something interesting, something very interesting during the conversation. He was like, Naruto's father wasn't there, so that's why Naruto doesn't know how fun it is to be with your family. Now, if you take this out of context, this might sound like Boruto is just being a bitch, that he's just being fucking evil or whatever. But no, he's just trying to get an answer to Naruto's behavior in his head. Now, obviously, Boruto doesn't know that, this whole incident with White Zetsu and Kaguya's ruins, or Otsutsuki ruins, whatever, is serious. It's a top-class secret, and Naruto has to be there all the time. So that's technically the answer. Because of that, Naruto isn't at the birthday. But what I'm trying to say is that Boruto isn't just complaining for no reason. He's trying to get the answer for himself. And him saying those words, and us seeing Minato on that photograph, like, it just gave me the chills. And it was just overall really enjoyable. If you're an OG Naruto fan, I mean, I'm sure you enjoyed that moment. Now, of course, this is my opinion. I don't want to be talking for everybody, but I don't know, man. I just completely fanboyed over that moment. And Boruto obviously goes to Naruto's office or whatever, and he throws his jacket. That's when he said that even himself, like he said, even I'm not cool, the thing that I already mentioned in my review. He throws the jacket. It's just, I don't know, man. It was just done so well. And of course, later on, Sasuke comes. Boruto thought it was Naruto. He wanted to punch him. But anyway, it was Sasuke, obviously. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, I just want to quickly compare this to the movie. Obviously, even without the movie, I would say that everything was done perfectly. But when I see this thing in the movie, and obviously it was worse in the movie, I respect this scene even more. I'm referring to the Boruto and Sasuke scene. In the movie, when Boruto sees Sasuke, it's pretty much the same. He wanted to punch him, and then he's just amazed by how cool he is. And I don't want to say it felt forced, because it is possible for you to think that somebody's super cool just by looking at them. But Boruto's character is much more deep and much more complex than that. In the 52nd episode, he already heard about Sasuke. He already heard about his actions. And even in this episode, before he met him, he mentioned Sasuke. He likes the fact that he doesn't follow the rules. He's protecting everybody from the shadows or whatever, right? Which shows how good of a person Boruto is. And when he finds out that Sasuke is in front of him, he is amazed. And it's just overall much better than the movie thing. Now, I'm not bashing the movie because obviously, you have time limits in the movie. This is a fucking anime where you can, set up everything nicely. But what I'm trying to say is, because of that, I appreciate the scene even more. And, this episode, I can't describe how much I enjoyed it and how much I loved it. Obviously, I don't think I need to say what rating I'm gonna give it. 100 trillion out of 10. Let me just quickly mention something, and I left it for the end because it doesn't really... I generally don't speak about this, and if you follow my reviews regularly, you know this. But anyway, I really don't care about the animation too much. But since the animation changed heavily in this episode, I just want to give you my thoughts, my 2 words on the topic. I like the previous animation more. I don't like this animation. Like, it's not that I completely dislike it, but there were some moments during the episode. It's like I didn't feel pain in my eyes, but especially there was this one moment. I can't remember exactly when, but the colors were so strange, in my opinion, that it didn't feel nice for my eyes. There are some positives of this new animation, and the problem is I'm not an animation expert, so I don't know how to describe it. But I saw some positives, but I didn't enjoy some moments. And in comparison to the last animation, like the last type of animation that was used, I prefer the previous one. In episode 52, animation got changed a little bit, so I didn't really mention it, or at least I think I didn't mention it. It doesn't really matter. But now it was drastically changed. But as I said, this isn't too important for me. And, despite that, I gave this episode 10. Because I watched this series for the story and for the characters, not for the animation. And, I just felt like I had to mention this because, a lot of people wanted to hear my opinion. And I know this for a fact because I already talked with a couple of people on Twitter. And with that said, Boruto greatness, everybody. Twitter and Discord links are in the description below. If you're new to this channel and if you're into Boruto, you know what you gotta do. Make sure to subscribe. That was your boy Hokage, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.